Hey, everybody, thought I would check in. I think today is day 4 coming home. Uh, one, two, yes, day 4 coming home. And I'm back in Missouri. Yesterday I was in Iowa, and my son treated me to a hotel room because he knows how cheap I am. And thank you, I enjoyed the bed very much. I just had to share with you. I was driving to Ames or Amos, wherever my hotel was. It's wherever Iowa State University is. That's where I spent the night. Anyway, I had to stop on the side of the road because I was amazed at how many fireflies there were just doing their twinkly thing in a cornfield. I had not seen that many fireflies, I don't think ever. And I sit there for full 10 minutes watching fireflies, and I tried catching it with a video, but you can't really catch the magic of fireflies at night in a cornfield. It's starting to get a lot hotter. I am sweating like a little pig tonight, and I do miss that cold weather from Minnesota. I think a lightning bug just got me. Anyway, I just thought I would pop in and tell you how things are going. Guys, I have a thing about churches. I see them on the side of the road, and I pull over, I take videos, I post them on my YouTube channel as shorts. This one, look how beautiful it is. There's lightning bugs out here. Of course, there's flies, and I smell manure. I'm really close to a cow farm. But this is so pretty. Lightning bugs are like little stars in the grass or the woods, wherever you are. We're in a cornfield. There's corn all around us. It's sunset. And there's a little cemetery. How are you doing? Pretty sure the horses are working together to keep the flies off of each other.
Yeah, that's your head. This is just like in the
Second low spot is lower than the first one.
Oh, wow.
It's lower than our first one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this one you
Yeah, this one's really hanging down, guys.
definitely want to duck your head.
Lower your head.
I don't even need to duck my head, man.
There is advantages sometimes, right?
I'm literally so short.
There's
I feel like-
advantages, right?
Yeah, there are advantages.
I don't know, man. Sometimes.
He came up with this idea to grow a crop down here in the cave, harvest it, take it to Springfield, sell it, put some money in his pocket. Well, what's wrong with that idea?
No sun.
Exactly, the man was crazy. No, actually he wasn't. He did find something that would grow quite nicely down here. Any thoughts on what that might have been?
Mushrooms or something?
Mushrooms, little button-top mushrooms. They say he grew those because he was just such a fun guy. This is the last of several that he had. It was actually a very good idea. It was quite lucrative for him. It got him through those hard times. So we preserved the last of several that he had.
Oh, really?
I thought that was pretty smart thinking on his part. Good use of his resources. All right, if we look at the ceiling, you're gonna see all these little tiny things hanging down. These are what we call soda straws. And we call them that because they grow in a hollow tube-like shape, just like a drinking straw. And that is how most of the formations in the cave start out. That happens when the water on the surface finds its way down through the bedrock and the limestone, and it works its way down into the cave. As that water travels, it picks up minerals along the way. The primary mineral it picks up is calcite. So the water carries the calcite into the cave. The water eventually evaporates, leaving the calcite behind.
Look at this one up here, Parker.
All right, so here's the fun cave fact. Most caves are the mean or the average temperature of the ground above it. This cave is 60 degrees all year round. It's warm in the winter and cool in the summer. That's a little fun cave fact for you.
Yeah, I saw another area that you could go.
In 1941, there was a farmer that lived up top and he wanted water. So he needed to dig a well. He knew the cave was here. He did not want to cause any damage. So he walked around up top and he measured and scratched his head and he calculated. And he thought, well, if we put it right here, it should miss the cave altogether. Oops. Yeah, he miscalculated by about 10 feet. He wanted it on the other side of the cave wall. When they did realize they hit the cave, they came down to see how much damage was done. They took a look at it and they thought, you know what? It's out of the way. Let's just leave it alone. Because they'd already made a hole in the ceiling. And if they were to try to pull it out or do anything different, it was just going to cause more damage. So that was a pretty smart, wise decision.
Oh, wow.
All right. So, this cave was discovered in 1862 by a man named John Knox. Mr. Knox, he was out hunting with his dog Juno. Y'all may have noticed the statue of a dog in our pavilion on your way down to the visitor center. That is dedicated to Juno the Bloodhound. Anyway, they're out hunting, and Juno chases a small animal into a small hole in the side of the hill. Well, Mr. Knox goes to call for Juno, and Juno didn't come out. But Mr. Knox could hear Juno kind of whining and whimpering. Well, he's pretty fond of his dog, so he goes back to his house and he gets himself a candle or a lantern. They did not have flashlights back then. And he goes to that hole inside the hill where his dog went in. And this is a very small hole. So Mr. Knox has to get down on his belly, and he does that army belly crawl thing. And he crawls in that hole about 15 or 20 feet or so. Everything opened up for him. And at that point, he realized he had himself a cave on his property. Well, he finds Juno, and he gets his dog and takes his dog back home, and everything's fine. But the reason why, and I'll get the rest of that story here in a little bit, but the reason why Juno was whining and whimpering is he had wandered into an area so dark he'd never experienced before. And he probably lost the sense of direction and couldn't find his way out. You're more than welcome to. So the fantastic system is a dual level cave system. We have the upper level that we're on, and then there's a lower level that runs underneath us. If we were to go down and explore the lower level, we'd literally be crawling on our belly. It's about 18 inches high and about 3 feet wide. And the fantastic system starts about 3 miles away from here, out towards our Springfield Branson Airport. In that area, there are a lot of these sinkholes. And this area is what is referred to as the recharge, or the starting point of the cave. When it rains, the runoff water drains down into these sinkholes. If it rains enough, that water will start converging and forming an underground river. And it will flow all the way down to 3 miles. It will enter our system up here at the next sinkhole or depression. It will come in that way, it goes on out this way, it goes on down under here, down the hill, and discharges at what we call Indian Spring. And that empties out into the Little Sock River that flows at the bottom of the hill below the visitor center. And then the whole process starts again. Now, a lot of folks will ask, does your cave ever flood? Yes. The highest I've seen the water in here was spring of 2019. It rained so much the water came up over these railings. And we can only give tours for like 6 days. But I'm going to come on up here and show you all as the water rises in here, when it rises above both of those archways, at that point, that water is discharging at the spring at approximately 9,000 gallons of water a minute. So that's a lot of water that goes through here. And when this fills up, it's like this big brown pool of water. And just a couple weeks ago, the water was clear up to here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it's filled up 2 or 3 times already this spring. And at this point, you're about 120 feet below the surface. I think that translates into about 12 stories. If you're curious, behind the screen, take goes back another 160 feet or so, and this narrows down to a flat wall back in here.
We're doing some water sampling here at the spring that drains fantastic caverns. These are some of our samplers. A spring is the drainage point for a cave system. What I want to do today is give you a look at the whole drainage system, and it's going to be a good day for doing it because we have had a lot of rain the past couple days. Why the spring is so large. Water goes into the cave system through things like sinkholes and then moves through the cave and discharges here at the spring. The flow of the spring today is about 9,000 gallons a minute, and every bit of that goes through fantastic caverns. About 3/4 of the runoff water in the Ozarks moves into cave systems. We're a mile from the spring here at a vertical entrance into the fantastic system.
And there is a problem if you're going to look right. 6 7 really far.
Like they designed it.
Mr. Knox did discover the cave in 1862. However, he did not place that ad in the paper until 1867. He waited for 5 years. The reason behind that, the American Civil War was going on. And Mr. Knox knew if word got out that he had a cave, either the Union or the Confederate Army would come through and take it. Both armies were in this area at that time, both armies were actively seeking out caves. And this is why he didn't tell his family about the cave. But anyway, what they would do is they would come in caves and they would dig up the soil, preferably soil that contained bat droppings. But they would dig up the soil out of the cave, and then they would put all that dirt in these big vats called leaching vats. So they would fill this with cave dirt, and then they would take water, and they would run it over the top of that soil. That water would then run down through the soil, and it would come out down here in the form of a muddy slurry. And that was the process called leaching out the minerals. They were after the minerals that were in cave soil. And then what they would do is they would take that muddy slurry, and they would start cooking it. And they would cook it in large kettles that they would place out of the mouth of the cave. And they would cook that all day long. At the end of the day, when all the water was finally cooked away, what they were left with were these crystals that stuck to the sides and the bottom of the pot. Those crystals contained something called potassium nitrate, also referred to as saltpeter. And they took those crystals and crushed them up, mixed it with potash and sulfur. They came up with gunpowder. And gunpowder was something that was in high demand during that time period. So in my opinion, Mr. Knox was a very wise man, keeping quiet about his discovery of the cave until after the war had ended, because they would have surely destroyed this cave. So thanks to his wisdom, we are able to enjoy it today. Now, fast forward to the 1920s, during a time in our country called Prohibition, when the sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages was outlawed throughout the land. Somebody thought, well, that didn't mean underneath the land, and they thought this would be a great place for a bar. So they put in an illegal speakeasy down here. They had a bar that ran the length of that rock, they had a dance floor, they had gaming tables. Here tell they even had a piano down here. I don't know how they kept the tune. But anyway, they kicked up their heels down here for about 3 years till they got shut down. And then fast forward to the 1960s, they built the stage and they started having underground concerts down here. They had a weekly variety show on Saturday nights called Farmer. And on occasion, they would invite some big names of country music to perform down here. They would record the show and air it on NBC Radio later that week. Does anybody remember a show called Hee Haw?
Yes.
Buck Owens brought in one of the biggest crowds of over 750 people. Alright, so this is the area of the cave we call the breakdown area. That's because all these rocks that are broke down used to be up on the ceiling. Okay, I'm going to show you one more of my little things. Where my light, doesn't that look like the back of a nativity scene up there?
Oh, it does.
Kind of. Anyway, this is what we call the breakdown area. And what happened in here, when it was the land before time, and the water was running through here, carving out the cave, the water level would rise and fall, and it would saturate the limestone. Over time, it saturated it so much, it caused it to collapse. And there are 3 areas you can see where the rock broke away. The first one is right through here where my light's shining. The second would be that shelf right above that. And the third is up here on the ceiling where it looks like a big shoe print. So it broke away in tiers like this, leaving a dome shape, which does prevent any future collapse. If you have any concerns, if you look up there where my light's shining, oh, Atlas, he's been holding that ceiling up for thousands of years. Doesn't let anything fall on anybody but water all the time. And just to put in perspective where you are, we had our picture taken over on the other side of this. It's basically one big room that has all this breakdown in the middle of it. All right, we're going to go on up to this next area. I think it's one of the prettiest in the cave. As we go through, look up at the ceiling. It is the highest concentration of stalactites in the cave, and well, it's pretty. I think it is anyway.
Oh, that was a lot of water. Oh wait, there's gonna be a lot of water.
Okay, they used what I call an Ozark flashlight, and that consisted of a coffee can with a handle attached and a candle in it. And this is the kind of light they would have used to explore the cave. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my Ozark flashlight, I'm gonna walk down the trail we've got over here, so you all can kind of get some idea of what that experience may have been like for those young women back in 1867. And then I'll turn the lights on for you. So it's splunking on your boat, with my Ozark flashlight.
Well, hopefully all of them had one.
I can get the general idea here. And there's some great little girls. But this is pretty much how they saw the cave when they came to explore it in 1867. So this is the way they saw the cave back then. And this is where we get to see the cave and enjoy it today.
Ooh.
And this is the area we call the Hall of Giants. These are the largest formations in the cave, and they call these two the twins.
You can see all the little straws up here.
Good idea, buddy.
Oh, perfect. Put your head inside. Oh man, I didn't have to do anything.
Cool.
That's what all my serious king rolls top of your head.
I mean, we're literally under.
That's why I said you They needed
No, I'm gonna Man, I haven't had a dog. It's lame, look at that.
That was so cool.
I don't like the fat of it. And I feel
Class A with the kick, the pitch, wind, swings, and misses. Slider on the first pitch. The Cardinals are after their 47th win and a high water mark, 9 games over. 500 the pitch. Strike, outside corner. Back-to-back sliders and an 0-2 count on Mason Wynn. A win today, the Cardinals will be